Bop. We're live. Hello, everyone.
On the
Welcome
internet.
to the Nerd Ledger. We are the nerds.
Yep.
I'm Cage.
We are the
That's
nerds.
Chair. We're here. We're chilling.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about Secret Invasion episode 4 today. I think that's it, right? We talked about 2 and 3 last week, and then
no, we
didn't.
I only watched the first episode, right? And
No, I think we talked about them.
Okay, we probably did. I need to go review.
Yeah. We'll talk about episode 4. And then there's some nerd news. Not a lot. I guess like the most wide news or like the most far-reaching news is like the writer's strike.
You're dropping frames just there.
A dropping. Yo, I'm plugged in though.
Oh, you're lagging really bad.
Oh no. Are you sure? Oh,
Mayday.
Oh. Mayday.
Yeah, I'm watching stream right now. It's buffering for Mayday. Pull up. Up.
Hold up.
I'm gonna mute myself real quick so I can eat more of this freaking ramen.
All right. Yeah, I see high CPU usage. Oh. That's my own thing playing back at me. I think we're chill now. Are we chill? Can you tell? Hello? Are you there? Oh, you're muted. You muted.
Seems chill. Sorry, I was eating some of my ramen.
We seem good now, right?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, I just knocked some shit over.
That doesn't sound good. Yeah.
That's all right. All right, cool. Sorry, anybody who's
Welcome
listening.
Welcome to the Nerd Ledger, guys. Yep.
We're useless.
We are. We really need a technical difficulty screen we can switch to just like on the fly. I gotta figure that out.
Sure. Yeah, it's not gonna help the people like just listening, but you know, it'll help someone, I'm sure.
We can play a catchy little tune.
Yeah, totally.
You got musical talent. You can make up a little freaking jazzy thing.
I don't know if I call it talent, but.
Well, hey man, you made an album. That's like the first step, bro.
Yeah, I did make an album. Chair has listened to it.
Yep. I can confirm that it is an album with hits. Like it's got some really good songs on it. Like you stepped into a wider world. That's awesome, dude. Like get a little following maybe. Have someone promote it. Like there's some free people that do like Instagram. Like they just promote your stuff if you send it to them.
Yeah, I don't know about all that, but. I will. I have posted the links on like socials and stuff, and I'll post a link in the podcast description for anybody listening, and the YouTube video for anybody watching there, and I'll post it in the chat here too. But yeah, I appreciate anybody who has listened or will listen. It means a lot, and yeah, I appreciate the feedback I got from people like Chair who listen to it before anybody else.
Yep.
So
some good guitar work on there, man. Like your instrumental stuff is top notch.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's some other really heavy stuff on there.
I just I always tell people. So what genre would you say my music is?
I just throw it in alt bed, man. Sorry if that's mean. Like the alt like hardcore alt or something like that. Like. Maybe like metal, alternative metal, around that way. Just with that alt tab, like that's what I would think probably.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of everything. That's like the thing. You got some bass, the guitar, like you got a little bit of rap in there too. Like just some alternative stuff that's like alternative to like what the person would be expecting to listen to. Like just alt music.
Yeah, it always.
I really think they should just call alternative like whatever I feel like making at the time for the artist.
Yeah, it stumped me because, like, when you post it, they're like, what genre is this? And I'm like, I don't fucking know what genre of music I make.
Do you agree with alt? Do you think
that's I do think it's alternative. But indie. I don't know, like...
Definitely indie.
I don't know if it's, like, alt pop or alt rock or what, so... Yeah, it's tough. Can I... My chat won't let me post in there. But anyway, I'm closing.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
A little bit of drop frames again.
Yeah, it's because I was in Chrome. I'm out now.
Classic Chrome. Hold on, I'm gonna take another big bite of my ramen so you can talk about what
Yeah, all
you got
good.
next coming up.
Yeah, I like to ask like other people like what genre they think the music is, just because like I have no fucking clue. Oh, it did post. Okay. Well, if you're interested in listening to my music, I posted the link in the chat-terino. I'm sure nobody is here right now, but that's okay. But yeah, that's the link if anybody wants to listen to it. And yeah, I don't really like I classically like not classically, but like I the music I listened to and the music I started playing when I started playing music was like metal, like hard rock kind of music. And so when I write, I try to write songs inspired by that, but I don't want to just do that because to me it's kind of boring. So I want to like spice it up. I want to make something new. I want to do something exciting with it. And so like people I've talked to, like well at least like with my wife, she says my music reminds her of like video game soundtracks or like music's like movie scores and stuff. And so like I take that as a big compliment, but it's like it's more like soundscapey, kind of like
Yeah,
I want it to take you somewhere. I want the music itself to tell a story. And so if I accomplish that, then I feel good about it. So
yeah.
but yeah, I'm also I made music a long time ago that like I posted on YouTube, but like I never mixed or mastered it because I didn't know how, and now I know kind of how, and I feel comfortable. I have a sound I'm going for, so I'll probably redo all those tracks and release those in the near future as well. But
Awesome.
yeah,
I'll definitely have it up in another pack night. Listen to it when I'm starting doing my new cards.
nice. But yeah,
Turns out that card shop did in fact have a few booster packs left of collectors for Brothers War. So I guess that's what I'm gonna get on Friday. It's gonna get 2 packs.
nice. Yeah, the shop one of the shops close to me has the collector's bundles of those still
Mm-hmm.
for like $50 or something.
Like how
So
much is the bundle?
it's like 50
Now, how many
bucks.
how many how many how many, how many packs is in the bundle?
9, and one of them is a collector's pack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, I need to collect because the freaking Transformers are only in the collector's packs of the Brothers War.
Yeah, it's a scam.
Yeah, this is a super big scam.
Yeah. Same like the Lord of the Rings packs. You can only get like the cool cards from the collector's packs, which were like 40 bucks.
Yeah, it's still super expensive right now because like I think people are starting to wake up to like what you and I know is that there's like this set like on top of it being Lord of the Rings, man. Like this art is just special. Some of this art is just phenomenal. Like on levels, like it's awesome. It really
Yeah.
is cool. It's very. I think it's very unique, and I think like it's just there's so many cards. There's like what 182 cards in the set or something like that. Like crazy.
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of
Yeah.
cards.
So yeah, it's a lot of cards in the set. So like there's a lot of people that always like to get a complete set, like to get the binder with the thing, on the cover, like what I'm trying to do for the Transformers, and then like do all that. And it's just yeah, it's gonna be around for. Do you know what the next set releases? It's Commander Masters, right? That's what's coming out.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't
About
play
that
Commander,
either.
but
Yeah, the freaking card shop was promoting that, and I was like, oh. So a pre-con deck means like the entire deck, if you buy it, is pre-constructed, right? Like it's
yeah,
already set.
yeah. Usually it's like weaker power level. Like they put like 2 or 3 like decent cards that you'll probably play. I don't know how Commander precons work, but like they're not gonna really compete with the other decks that people are making themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean they'll be fine. Like you can still have fun with them and stuff. I'm sure, but
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'll be skipping this pre-con for sure because I'm not interested in Commander. Like, it just doesn't seem like the game for me. I think that's the most important thing to say. Like, I just like it a little more quicker, a little more intense. So I just like going game to game to game. It's fun.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I played
I know
Modern
Wizard War
last night.
with people. Like
Yeah, I went
at a
to
shop.
a local tournament. No, I went by myself. And there were 6 total people, including me, so it worked out. But
Made any friends?
I wouldn't say friends, but I saw people, and I played games against them and talked to them, and things like that. I played a deck that was very susceptible to the decks that everyone else was playing, so I only won one round. I lost the other 2.
Did you win a pack at least, or no?
I don't know what the prize payout is. I just after the last round I just left. I was hungry. It was like 9:30 and I hadn't eaten all day. Well, I did eat lunch, but just like egg bites. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym. So.
There you go. Burn keto bird, bro.
Yeah, but yeah. So there is some news happenings, and really like I don't know if it's like worth talking about necessarily, but Comic-Con is starting this week. San Diego Comic-Con, also known as Comic-Con International. It's always like a huge thing every year. Hall H is like where all the big news comes out, all the big announcements about, whenever Marvel is releasing crazy movies, right? And DC,
it became like famous, like Hall 16 or whatever it's called right
Hall
now.
H,
whatever.
Yeah.
Hall H, yeah. It's whenever they have. That's where they always have the Marvel presentations. So.
Yeah, and Star Wars and stuff. I mean, a lot of those big studios have started like doing it at their own convention. So Star Wars does it at Star Wars Celebration. Marvel does it at D23. DC had their like DC event thing ever for like a couple like fandom or whatever for a couple years. I don't know if that's going to continue to be a thing, but like all those studios had previously already pretty much said like they're not doing Hall H this year. And that was decided a long time ago. Now with the writer strike and then the actor strike,
everything shut down.
So
I think that's like the big elephant in the room is like everything is starting to really shut down, like across all the cons, and like even Adult Swim Festival, which is something I've always wanted to go to. Definitely not gonna go. Not gonna go this year. There's no damn point. It's a good thing I didn't buy those tickets for Metalocalypse. Jeez, I wonder if they're even allowed to tour right now with the strike going on. They probably can't. Wow, I better text. That's wild. I just thought about that. So for those of you that don't know, Metalocalypse is this like fictitious metal band that's animated for Adult Swim, and they're like some of their songs are actually really fun and entertaining to listen to, like Mermaid or stuff, something like that. Are you familiar with the clock?
I've heard of it. I haven't listened to any of it.
Yeah, but sometimes they perform live and like so they have the stage completely darkened and they're just playing like new animated music videos in the background, right? So it's actually like a really good time. But they're playing live, they're still right there with all the speakers and everything set up, and it's just fucking awesome. I don't know what else to say. And I definitely want to go and see one of that one my own day, but I guess they can't tour anymore because there's like the writer and the actor strike going on, and like all day they're not going to the Adult Swim Festival anymore. So I assume that means they're not even doing their own tour. That's wild. But yeah, that's like the big elephant in the room is like, a lot of entertainment things, and a lot of people do, which is conventions, which is I think is like, that quarterly thing that a lot of people spend a lot of money on, like, that are working tech and they go to the local convention, like, they dress up and cosplay and have a bunch of fun stuff and buy a bunch of props and stuff. Yeah, it's like, yeah.
Well, I mean, Comic-Con International, San Diego Comic-Con has really become very Hollywood. It's become very like mainstream in a lot of ways. Like people that you would never expect to want to go to Comic-Con want to go to Comic-Con now. And I don't say that as like a bad thing or like, oh, I'm bitter because I as a nerd growing up I always wanted to go to Comic-Con, and now all these mainstream people like I don't care. I think that's good for the industry. I think it's good for nerds because the more people that get involved, the more you'll get of the things you like.
Yeah, more Warhammer 40K. Like, the hobby is really small. Like, it really is. Like, you don't realize how small Warhammer 40K is compared to a lot of other hobbies. Like, like D&D. Like, D&D, I think, is the one that's benefited the most from just people, hundreds of thousands of new players, like, people knowing and also getting away from the satanic panic. That was probably a really big thing, I think. So.
Yeah. But for people who don't know, Comic-Con used to not be about movies at all. It used to not be about entertainment in that sense at all. It used to be
about comics,
comic books, Star Trek, nerd stuff, like just straight up like. And so like people, I get it's unfortunate for people who signed up for meet and greets with celebrities and wanted to go to those panels. And again, for people who have never been to a convention or aren't familiar, panels are essentially like a group of actors from a show or people who worked on a show all talking about their experiences. Fans can come up to a microphone and ask questions, and they'll answer them and stuff like that. And a lot of people really enjoy those things. All that has been canceled. So it leaves people wondering, well, I spent hundreds of dollars to go to San Diego Comic-Con. What the fuck am I going to do now? Well, there's a lot to do. A lot still.
Yeah.
I mean, all the comic book artists will be there, comic book writers, cosplay is a thing, right?
Yeah. Anyone not associated with like the Screen Actors or the Writers Guild is going to be there for sure. Like,
yeah.
Toys too. Toys that are becoming really popular. I see a lot more like local conventions for toys now. Like
toys,
that's
art,
cool.
merchandising, vendors, like.
Yeah, I just saw this new freaking Transformer for the like 25th anniversary of Transformers, whatever. They got a Grimlock that's like fully like automated, like it'll transform itself, and it's like like 2 feet tall or something like that. It's wild.
Yeah, there's exclusives there, like that you can only get there. I mean, there's still a lot to do. There's a lot
swag
around
bag.
The area. Yep, there's a lot. There's like, I get it. Like, if most of the people going to Comic-Con now were interested in those things, they would have been going 15, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know, like what's gonna. I mean, there's always shows, there's events, there's like dances and parties hosted. Like, there's always stuff to do at a convention as big as this, and even small conventions, right? So, I mean, there's still plenty to do, but it is unfortunate for people who bought their tickets specifically to see certain things, especially if they bought them before Marvel and everybody else said we're not doing Hall H anyway. So, but it's there's still plenty to do. So.
Yeah, it's just wild when you see stuff like this, like when you see like you go like like I went on to the Adult Swim Festival thing, and then like I was looking down like through the website and like where it said sold out because everything was basically already sold out. It just said canceled, like and it's just jarring to see that kind of stuff. It's like definitely not the norm, and it's just wild. It makes you wonder how this is going to end because it really. I don't know. Like there has been no one coming forward and saying, "Okay, guys, like all this nonsense is over. We're finally going to come to like a handshake on it." I think for you and me, I think the most important thing is Deadpool 3 right now, right? Like it's in limbo, like literally it's stuck in limbo for the time being, unless they can come to some kind of little deal for it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, it is unfortunate, and it is like, I'm sure for a lot of people, very annoying. Like, everything's getting delayed. Everything's going to get further delayed. I mean, Deadpool was moved up 6 months. It's going to be pushed back that 6 months, I'm sure, again. It's going to push everything else back. This is the reality of it. But it doesn't bother me because, again, like, I don't take much interest in the strikes anyway. And I also try not to worry about things I have no control over. So things will pick up when they pick up, and if they don't, they won't. I went a long time without good comic book movies. I can go a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think the same is true for most things, and especially Star Wars shows. Like still the amount of Star Wars content we're getting is awesome. Yeah. Andor 2, I think, is probably stuck in production. I would imagine. I haven't seen anything on that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, Ahsoka's done though, and then we get that next month, so that'll give us something. And if all else fails, just rewatch Andor.
We got Oppenheimer and Barbie coming up, which I am definitely going to see. I'm not going to see them back to back, but I'm going to go see them.
You're going to see them both?
Yeah. Well, because Barbie looks like a good movie, and if it's like it looks really entertaining. That's what I'm gonna put it as. And then Oppenheimer looks just really intense, and everyone says it's like really good, and I really like that guy.
Christopher Nolan, or
no.
Sear and not is this not Sear?
Yeah, that Irish dude, whatever his name is.
Yeah, he was he played a Scarecrow in Batman Begins, and he's the guy from Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, Peaky Blinders. He was really good in Peaky Blinders. He's really intense. So
I never watched Peaky Blinders, but yeah,
I'm sure it'll be great. Peaky Blinders is weird because like it continued past where it normally would have. You think a show would have ended traditionally, and now it's like it feels like fan fiction of itself. So I don't really watch it anymore. But those first few seasons of Peaky Blinders were freaking awesome.
Honestly, that's how season 2 and 3 of The Mandalorian felt.
Well, season 2 was pretty good until again towards the midway, like every other show started using it as like cameo appearance. Like I am watching this show. Like all right, later. Cameo appearance. Hey, I'm watching this show. All right, later. That was pretty annoying. Season, we get season 2.5 was pretty darn good, bro. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like all of season 2 of The Mandalorian, but it does feel like after season 1, like season 1 could have been its own like series, and then like a season 2 just felt like, it feels like fan fiction in a lot of ways. But I mean, I guess anything that isn't George Lucas's original vision is fan fiction.
It's fan fiction, yeah. I was about to say, like, technically the sequel trilogies are all like fan fiction. Like, oh man, all the heroes have these kids and they're doing this awesome, amazing things. And there's a super Death Star and it can blow up 4 planets instead of just 1. And then there's a fleet of thousands of ships that have their own little. It's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And then people come and fight them, literally.
In other
what a wild ride for Star Wars fans lately.
Yeah, in other hilarious news, The Flash is unlikely to pass Green Lantern's box office.
Mm-hmm.
It's not doing well, and I don't mean it's funny. Like I wanted the movie to fail. I didn't really have any interest in whether the movie succeeded or failed. And I don't think it's good to celebrate failure. In that sense, I think,
Well, I can celebrate it in a way where I hope Ezra Miller is out of a job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the silver lining, right? The beauty of it. It's like you don't necessarily want movies to do poorly, but when it's Ezra Miller's movie, you kind of are like, well, at least that hopefully means we won't see them again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's pretty honestly, it's wild to me, like the marketing campaign that The Flash did, where you had like incredibly famous people like Stephen King and like other just like major celebrities before the movie coming out saying it's amazing and like it's one of the best things they've ever seen, and all like they got so many celebrities that I'm convinced never watched the movie to tweet about it and say how great it is.
Yeah, that was the main thing.
And
it's just like Black Adam, like, like damn, like the balance of power is shifting in the DCEU. Like, oh wow, dude, 10 out of 10. Like, all
but
the
that's just The Rock,
movies,
right? Like they weren't reaching out to like
but
Elon Musk and fucking Stephen King to like tweet about it,
Yeah,
like people you'd never expect to tweet about comic book movies are out here saying it's the greatest comic book movie to ever come out.
That's exactly what I'm saying though. Like, the machine of popularity generation is kind of showing itself because, like, you and I both, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of these famous people don't really have Twitter. They have a social media manager that manages their Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't really go on Twitter because they think it's unhealthy, which is.
How much money does DC have to pay them to convince like them to do that?
Yeah, like, it just has to a lot probably, and it's the same, but it's the same thing. It's not, but it's like worse than like, oh, the balance of power is shifting in the DCEU. It's more like, oh wow, like, this famous writer is like, dude, this movie among superhero movies is like the quality one. Like, this is the fine wine compared to the $2 Chuck. This thing is like a fantastic blend of everything everyone wants in a superhero movie. And I watched it, and it was kind of okay. That's what it comes down to. Like, it was just like all the other DC movies. It was all right. It didn't blow my mind in any spectacular fashion.
And it could have been a lot better as well.
A lot better. It could have been a lot better. And like, like the thing with Ezra Miller is like, I just, on top of like, everything else, it's like I feel like anyone could have slipped into that role of the awkward Barry teenager, like, pairing duo, like where there's a little bit slightly more mature Barry, who is only slightly more mature for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, and it's just, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that like
anyone
all the what'd you say? Sorry.
I just said anyone could have done it. Like, anyone could have done, like, any like Tom. It's like a Tom Holland role, like any, like, young man, any young actor man could fit that role. Anthony Chimon, pick one.
Yeah, it's like you'd think with all like the press around it and everything else, and the obvious comparisons to Flashpoint, that would have done something for the movie, but like it just didn't do anything. Like nobody went to see the movie.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand, like it made so little money that like
Because you want to know what you want to know why? It's because they're people's nerd friend. Like everyone has like a nerd friend in the group now, right? Like because that's morally, socially, and like ethically acceptable now in society. So
Yeah.
like your friend at the offices who always asks you like to go to you for the nerd questions because you're like the nerd guy. You know these things. Like you and I know these things. People ask me Star Wars questions all the time. Just our fate. Though. It's like IT. People think I know stuff about tech. Just because I do doesn't mean it. Because I'm a nerd doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But with that, their nerd friend goes and sees the movie first. Like they're seeing, they're like me and you, or me and my other nerd friends are getting together. Like we're going as a nerd collective to go see this comic book movie. And then the nerd friend returns back to the group of the bigger social circle, and the nerd friend was like, "Oh, it's okay." And then times are really tough right now, so if you're gonna go see a movie, food's still really expensive. It's like $13 for a cheeseburger at McDonald's as well. And if you're gonna go see a movie, you might as well go see the good movie that you want to see, rather than like the kind of okay superhero movie that from a studio. Maybe you've seen ones in the past where like, okay, this is kind of lame, it's kind of weird. Maybe you've seen two of them in a row in the past. It's like, okay, they feel like the same. I'm not gonna see them anymore. And there's also just a lot of people that are aging out of it. I think of seeing just not wanting to go see those movies anymore.
I mean, what I would say, like, just totally anecdotally or like, out of nowhere, like I don't have evidence to support this, but to me it seems like it's one of those things where like, you
Nah,
know,
man, confident and off the cuff is all the evidence you need.
yeah,
That's how it works.
you said, like, we're the nerds in the office or whatever. Like, people come and ask us, right? Like, you think about it this way, like, right, where people come up to you and say, "Oh, did you see the new Flash movie? How
Mm.
was it?" And you say, "Oh yeah, I saw it. It was pretty good." And they say, "Well, like with all like the universe stuff, is it one I need to see?" And you just say, "No."
Yeah, no,
They're
nothing
not gonna
important
see it,
happens.
right? Like
Yeah, like
this happened to me like a month ago. I was in a drive-through for Dutch Bros. I was getting some coffee,
there you
uh,
go.
and it was a Wednesday, so we were gonna podcast, and so they always ask you like, "Oh, what do you got going on today?" And I always lie and say, "Oh, nothing," or whatever. Like I don't want to have a conversation, but it was Wednesday. Oh, like I'm just getting some coffee. I'm gonna go home and podcast and whatever. Like, oh, what do you podcast about? I was like, oh, like different nerd stuff, like whatever, like Marvel and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, like, do you watch like the MCU shows on Disney Plus and stuff? And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen them all. And they're like, oh, like, do I need to watch those to watch the next movies? You know? And I was like,
Well, Miss Marvel probably to understand what's going on.
maybe, yeah. But I said honestly, probably not. Like if you watch them, it'll make your experience better, but you won't
Mm,
lose anything necessarily by not watching them. Like that's usually what I tell people because that's kind of the truth. Like Marvel does balance those things pretty well between
yeah.
like the movies and TV. Like if you haven't watched TV shows, you're not really missing anything, but you will gain something by having seen them. Um, but
And that's why I think too the Doctor Strange one fell so kind of flat on its face in some ways, like where it was just so lore dependent on everything going on in the MCU at the time that you were kind of overwhelmed by it.
yeah.
It was like backed up by amazing directing and all the cool little effects and everything being trippy and weird AF and the murder scene and stuff, but still it didn't I think just it seems like the redheaded stepchild of this new generation of MCU movies so far. There's a lot of people don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, well, it is interesting because Bob Iger, right, the CEO of Disney, came out and pretty much said he blames the poor performance of Phase 4 movies on the over focus on Disney Plus shows. And he
Yeah.
was like, like it's if the shows weren't there, like the movies would do a lot better. And honestly, I kind of disagree. Like
Yeah.
because it's not like Marvel's never had television shows. Like they ran Agents of Shield during like the entire first three phases of the MCU, or like at least the first two.
Yeah.
Uh, they had Agents of Shield, which quote unquote was kind of more or less tied in. Not really. I mean, all the Netflix shows, which clearly took place in the MCU, but like didn't like my whole feeling about it is like your galactic level heroes or whatever, like your Avengers and stuff. The little things down on the street level won't roll up to them, but what they do rolls down to everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So like these shows happened and clearly took place within the MCU, and the movies still did fantastic. And you also missed the point of, right, this is why I don't think that comic book movies or whatever, like, the fatigue is necessarily there or whatever, because Guardians 3 did fantastic.
Yeah, everybody loved
Like,
Guardians 3.
Across the
Like,
Spider-Verse did fantastic.
Yep.
Like, these are movies that did very well at the box office, despite everything, right?
I think Across the Spider-Verse is a specific case all on its own because it's also an animated movie. So I think it crosses boundaries.
It is, but the first one only made 300 mil.
Yeah.
So this one made double that or more.
Well, I think that's because of the legacy of the first one.
Yeah.
I think that's because everyone was like, "Wow, this is like an amazing game." Like, this is one of the. No, I'm sorry, not an amazing game. I'm sorry, I was just looking at something else. Like, wow, this is an amazing movie. Like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like,
yeah. The reality is, a lot of people probably waited to watch it at home on streaming because it came out like around Christmas time. The first one did, and like, so maybe a lot of people didn't go see it in theaters, but like later their kids wanted to watch it and they watched it and stuff, and then they're like, shit, man, I wish I would have watched this in theaters, and now they all went to go see this one, right? So yeah, but I don't think the genre is by any means dying. Also, I don't. Bob Iger may have a point to where like the shows on Disney Plus so obviously are a part of the MCU, right? Like they make it feel like if you don't watch these, you'll be lost. To where people just gave up. Right? Because it's much different to commit 2 hours four times a year than it is to commit 9 hours every 3 months, right?
I also think it also really just depends on the consumer because there's some people that don't like watching television shows, like just straight up, like they don't like sitting in front of the TV and they'd rather be like, they're not people like recluses like you and I, like in our cave or nerd caves with our figurines and stuff like that. They're out there like sitting at bars and talking to people. And God bless them. Like, I don't want to do that. So someone's got to do it. Might as well be them.
Yeah.
And you and I consume like shows because we're just like consuming this content. Like, we love being in the Star Wars universe. When the Mandalorian first came on, it was like a breath of fresh air for like everybody's lives.
Yeah.
For even my parents were watching. It was like, oh, it's just like Star Wars. Like my dad, dude. He said, "Oh, it's Baby Yoda." Like he was not on like Facebook. He wasn't on Facebook. He didn't know, like, he didn't see any memes yet. It was before everything. That's just the first words that came out of his mouth when he saw Baby Yoda was, "Oh, it's a Baby Yoda."
Yep.
And like it's just legendary, bro. Like, they just etched themselves right into people's psyche, like right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, to your point, maybe just people aren't watching TV shows very much, and but.
I think that there's like a certain cap to streaming. Like Netflix, like has so much different content. Like they have a bunch of drama and comedy and this and that and nature documentaries and cooking shows where like a lot. So I think that they have such a big pull of people that are willing to go is why they've been able to succeed. But Disney is so specific, and I just
I mean, and maybe Guardians it could be an exception, but like. Guardians has always kind of functioned within its own world in a lot of ways. Like those movies work well as a trilogy, and like you don't need to watch any other MCU movies to watch Guardians, right?
Yeah.
Like you might miss something with like the Power Stone, but not really. It's well explained within the first Guardians by itself, and like I think a lot of MCU's movies do function as their own stories or within their own franchises, but at the same time others don't, especially when they're so clearly post Endgame, right? Like the blip and all this stuff, and like you're gonna miss something if you haven't watched Infinity War and Endgame. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see kind of like how things shape out. I don't anticipate the Marvels will make a ton of money, just because I think people in general don't like Brie Larson, and Captain Marvel has never been that popular of a character in comics anyway.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Again, I don't have data to back that up, but I'm pretty sure there is data to back it up.
Well, still, like, they're separate. These are movies, so we'll just have to see the movie. Like, you really liked Kamala Khan and being portrayed in, like, Miss Marvel in the TV show. So hopefully, like, it makes it a good jump to the big screen. And
yeah,
like Captain Marvel wasn't that bad. It was just kind of boring. It's kind of like a DC movie. Like, nothing really happens. There's some cool effects, and like, they do the big fight, and like, you saw, okay, great, you saw a comic book superhero movie. Congratulations. Like, get up from your chair now. Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a
some
placeholder.
movies like that just do feel so run of the mill, and to me, The Flash was one of those movies. It's like, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
superhero movie. There's action, there's stuff, but it didn't do anything special, you know.
Yep.
But to your point about the girl who plays Miss Marvel, the young Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. There's a lot of news about her too, because apparently like she's like an MCU expert, and when like they're filming, like anybody has any question about anything continuity wise, they ask her and stuff. So I mean, it's really cool like to get like young actors and actresses into these stories that like love them and appreciate them and understand them, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I heard
So
isn't she like writing a comic book or something like that too?
she's
Like
gonna
it.
be a part of a writing team for an upcoming Miss Marvel comic book. I don't know if it's an issue or series, but yeah, she will be contributing to writing Miss Marvel, her own. Well, I mean, who she's playing as well. But so yeah, that is true. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I think that covers most of the news. I mean, there is other news. I mean, She-Hulk's getting a new comic book series, uh, stuff like that. There's other
Hopefully
comic
there
book
won't be any
news.
more controversy.
Definitely not. No, people who read She-Hulk like it. People who read She-Hulk like the She-Hulk TV show. Um, Not
I
everyone,
like
of
the
course,
Shield.
but
I like the Shield TV show.
yeah, I enjoyed it too. So. And then other than that, I mean, the only real bit of news is apparently former head of DC Walter Hamada wanted to use Michael Keaton as like a Nick Fury character to like recruit other people and make his own Justice League team or what. I don't fucking know. I didn't read the article, but yeah. Anyway, you're talking about Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel. That brings us to Secret Invasion. Let's be honest. That just brings us to Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Okay, because you had told me like because now you're watching Secret Invasion, like you might need to rewatch Captain Marvel. Do you feel like people need
Not
to have
anymore.
seen it?
Not anymore. No,
Oh,
not anymore. Not after episode 3. Not after gun shoot boom explosion.
okay.
Yeah, I just don't. Uh,
Yeah. Well, do you feel like it would behoove people who haven't seen Captain Marvel to watch it if they're watching Secret Invasion, or you think they don't need it?
I think from a starting off point, probably not. Maybe like maybe like a recap.
Yeah, there are recaps at the beginning of the episodes too, I think.
Like a recap of like Miss Marvel, or specifically what just happened, or specifically what happened to Nick Fury is what I'm thinking.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, again, they do have like the pre-run thing where like they show him getting disappearing in the blip, and like they do show stuff from Captain Marvel where like he's helping Talos, right? But they also explain within the show uh who Talos is and why Nick is helping him, why they're friends and stuff.
Mm.
So I don't know if like again, it's one of those things where I think if you watch Captain Marvel, you won't have to wait as long for answers, like, and it'll benefit you in the way that like you'll gain something out of that. But if you haven't, you can still watch the show and be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, episode 4 spoilers, guys. We're gonna talk about episode 4 of Secret Invasion with full spoilers. Episode 5 came out today. Haven't watched it yet. Episode 6, which is the season finale, comes out next week. So yeah, we'll be talking
So
about those
fast.
eventually. But yeah, episode 4. Well. Episode 4 is a doozy.
Yep.
We
There's a lot going on for sure.
there certainly is a lot going on between Gravik's plot and Nick Fury and his wife. And Colonel James Rhodes, aka Rhodey, aka War Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that like they literally bought the production team or the studio literally bought like a $4,000 bottle of bourbon for this episode.
Poppy Van Winkle, man, that's probably the first thing I would have said to when I walked on set. Is that bottle real? I like whiskey, so I kind of like know my stuff, and that stuff is like the real deal. Like that's like.
Yeah, I don't know shit about that, but
it's just
I
really,
did read
it doesn't taste like you're drinking whiskey. It's like you're drinking candy. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, they're gonna use it, I think, in other productions as well. So it wasn't just for this show, but yeah, they did spend a crazy amount of money for some.
It's like 10 grand. Yeah, it's 10 grand or something like that.
Yeah, but to me, I think the episode works on all levels. Really, I really like the stuff with Nick Fury and his wife. I don't know. It seems. I don't know. It just feels real to me in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of like undertones of things there. Like, I don't know. I appreciated that. Some people I think would probably find it incredibly boring.
Yeah, no, I understand, like, the work, being able to, like, guess with your partner and figure out what your partner's thinking and stuff like that, and being in sync and, like,
well, I mean, also he spied on her, but.
Yeah, like, you won't do she spied on him, like, so, it's like fun little exchange, fun little, like, Mr. and Mrs. Jones or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and it was very short, though. The stuff was really short with his wife. Like, it was really quick, and it was, like, barely, like, 6 minutes, it's like 8 minutes of the episode, I think, just about, right? And
yeah.
I thought it was cute, and the undertones, you're right, the undertones are great, but I'm not married right now, so I don't want to think about that. And,
well, yeah. Yeah. And then obviously, like, the quote unquote big twist, again, spoilers, is James Rhodes is a Skrull. Oh my God, we didn't see that coming since episode 2.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, he was. I mean, I think you called that one too, right? You said something about that.
Yeah, like, what are they gonna do? War Machine first, probably, and that's,
yeah.
Like, but also it's just kind of like I said. I feel like maybe not. Maybe they're gonna have one more cameo. Who do you think it's gonna be? They're gonna pull one hero. I think they're gonna pull one hero into this. That's what I think is gonna happen. Who do you think it is? Just guess.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Captain Marvel did show up.
Okay.
Actually, maybe I would be.
So.
But
Black Widow, or Black Widow's dead?
I mean, there is a character from Black Widow who's in the show. I don't know who, but I saw the news article about the episode today. So I was spoiled. So I know someone from Black Widow is going to be in the show, but I don't know who. I don't think it's going to be Yelena. She was in Hawkeye. But it could be Red Guardian. I mean, he's got to come back eventually because he's going to be in Thunderbolts. Maybe it'll be other people that are going to be in Thunderbolts. Ghost. We haven't seen Ghost for a long time. Who else? I don't know. But Ghost wasn't in Black Widow, obviously. She was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second Ant-Man movie.
Remarkable Marvel movie.
Huh?
Kind of happened. Another little Marvel movie that just kind of happened.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't want to predict. I'll watch the episode and either be surprised or not surprised. But I don't know who they could get in that would, like, anybody like that's like a major member of the Avengers would shock me. Like, I just don't know. I don't see it happening, but it absolutely could happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, let's just say it's definitely not going to be Spider-Man. It's unlikely to be Sam Wilson's Captain America. I don't see that happening. Like I said, to me it'd be like a computer generated character like Groot. I could see that happening. I mean, we did see Gravik in this episode using his Groot powers. He's a proper Super Skrull now. And he can't be killed. He just regenerates, which is also a power of Groot. Just regenerates. But yeah, I have no idea. It'd have to be somebody on the level of James Rhodes, I think, but nobody like higher.
So you don't think there's going to be anyone major that sneaks their way in? Probably you think it would have leaked by now? Is that why you're saying that, or do you think?
No, I think Marvel tries to not make a habit of like Luke Skywalkering their shows. Like, does that make, like, because, right, this is Nick Fury's story.
But I think too, yeah, maybe you are right. Maybe I am over predicting it because, like, it's called Secret Invasion though. I don't see Nick Fury like Secret Invasion. So it's about invasion of Earth, and I feel like that Earth's mightiest defenders, like that's implying that Earth's mightiest defenders might like show up at some point. But maybe that's just me, like overhyping it, or like going to the extremes maybe when I shouldn't. Because like if this happens to the president, like gets attacked when like Captain America being fucking deployed from like an AC-130 gunship or something like that.
You would think that it would alert the Avengers or something. Like, where the fuck are they, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where are they call the Guardians of the Galaxy? Star-Lord's down on Earth. Doesn't he care that a bunch of shapeshifters are now taking over Earth? Like, it's just wild.
Right. I mean, especially Star-Lord, right? With all his experience with aliens and stuff, you would think he'd be the first one to respond.
Yeah, and another thing is this when it comes down to it, like maybe this is kind of what Bob Iger was talking about, like maybe making shows on Earth doesn't make any sense, when you got an Earth with the Avengers on it, unless you could say they're all distracted doing something, which is probably it's just again
they can't be everywhere, right? But
yeah, and you can only use that excuse so many times before it becomes excessive. And here's what I'm thinking: a group of shape-shifting alien Russians attacking the president is like kind of like something. Maybe the event, maybe this is indeed an Avengers level threat.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of, most people don't know that they're shape-shifting aliens, right? But Nick Fury knows, and he refused to tell anyone, right?
Yeah.
Which is like their way of saying, well, if Nick Fury doesn't alert anyone, then nobody's gonna know, and whatever. But like, someone else has to know that would want to alert like a superhero, right? Like, it's not just gonna be all on Nick Fury, even though he wants it because it's his show to be all on him to resolve the issue. But maybe if he had called in like Captain America or something, again, spoiler alert, Talos wouldn't have died. Oh yeah, also, what's her face didn't die because she took Extremis. Gaia, and Amelia Clark.
Great little switch me up. You think they would have shown her doing that beforehand, but no, it didn't. It said, like, she just kind of like just did it, and I guess I don't know. I thought that was kind of dumb. I also thought it was kind of funny. I also thought it was kind of slick. That's the thing. It was like it's a weird mix of emotions.
Yeah, it's because to me, it's not playing fair with your audience, right? Like you've established when they die, they revert back to their natural form. And she did revert. What happened? Oh, you're going to do something. All right. When she did die, she reverted. And I don't know if technically she was... I actually don't remember because I watched the episode last week. I don't remember if she, like, did die and then, like... Or, like, injected something or something took effect after she, quote-unquote, died. Or if she, like, didn't die because she took Extremis and she healed. Because if that's the case... I'm pretty sure Gravik also took Extremis, and he gets shot and heals right away.
Yeah.
So, okay, all right, hold on. I'm making it make sense in my head. All right, she gets shot, she doesn't die, she falls, and she purposely reverts into a scroll to make Gravik think she's dead, but she never actually died because she took Extremis and it healed her.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense now. I talked my way through it. I still don't think it's necessarily playing fair with your audience, but hey, it makes sense.
No, I think, that's the thing where my emotions, like, I think what the character did is very slick, how she reverted back to a scroll slowly to make it appear as though that she had, died. And then Gravik walked away because he's emotionally unstable and, like, he just shot one of his, like, his girlfriend or whatever. And, he's all wild and crazy and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And what I thought was stupid was that then it cut to her like going into the super hyperbolic time chamber and like getting her super regenerative awesome powers like moments before that happened.
No one noticed.
No one saw a thing, bro. it was just so stupid. Like I thought that was really dumb and it was frustrating and they didn't need to do that. Maybe she just had some body armor on, huh? Why can't you just like have her pulling up her thing and revealing some body armor?
Yeah.
And like maybe there's like.
I think they wanted to make a point of the hyperbolic machinery thingy.
But they already made the point with Gravik.
later.
The only point they made that point easier in this episode. We're skipped all ahead of this, by the way. What I keep talking about, what happens is, by the way, guys, is that so after like all that happens, basically what's going on is that Skrulls disguise themselves as Russians and they attack a presidential convoy. They blow it up, and there's like a bunch of gun shooting fight scene stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
It's fine.
I thought the helicopter crashes were pretty cool.
Yeah, they were pretty dope. The Nick Fury domes this like the Skrull leader. What's his name? Like
Gravik.
you know, like Gravik like 3 times, like once in the head, and it shows his head regenerating. All right, that's all they needed to do to show off how OP it was.
Yeah.
Like they didn't need to have her survive, so it's like a fun little. But unless they're going to use her later, but in which case they could have I think they could have put her in more. Like I think a car chase of her on dirt bike would have been more exciting than her just like that dumb little standoff.
I think the shock of her getting shot is like the unexpected thing about that is like what they were going for, right? Like to them ending the episode there is more exciting than like having a car chase. Or they could have had a car chase and then have her get shot or run over.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
or fall off a cliff and you don't know if she lived. And then
that's one thing in episode 4 that I felt didn't make a lot of sense is in like when she meets with her dad and they're talking. That conversation made no sense to me at all. Like she like where like she's like helping him. She's the mole. She's doing all this stuff to help her dad. And he's like, all right, well, this is my vision for the new world. And she's like, what the fuck? Huh? You want to stay here? You want to, like, you don't, like, what? Like, it's like, yeah. Like, didn't you get that, like, from him the entire time?
Yep.
But then, like, she just, and I get it. They're like, we're going to make this tension, and they're going to fight, and she's going to walk away, and she's going to be like, I don't even know you anymore. And then we're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then they did kill him. Talos died, saving the president. The green alien, guys, he saved the president. And this will show people that not all Skrulls are bad. But that's not how Americans think for sure. If one of them is bad, they're all bad. So I don't think it will mean anything in the end. But Nick Fury, I'm sure, will lobby and be like, hey, this Skrull tried to protect you. We shouldn't be mad at all the Skrulls, even though they're all disguised themselves as Russians, trying to create World War fucking 3. So, yeah. And Nick Fury did save the president somehow, even though Gravik had all these crazy powers and, like, just slowly stared at him and walked towards him and wanted to get shot so he could be like, hey, bitch, look at me now, and didn't at all try to kill the president, even though he could have easily done it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the Brits showed up and they're like, tally ho, lads, and they're super British.
Yeah, the British are coming. The British are coming.
Reinforcements are coming, lads.
Yeah.
With the freaking helicopters and stuff.
Yeah. Because Nick Fury, he's got contacts. He's got MS-13 or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, or maybe they just had a standing force ready in case the presidential convoy got attacked.
Yeah. Well, he did call that lady, right, the British lady, at some point.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey yo, you wanna like hey yo," and she was like,
Yeah.
Tally ho, yes, of course, I'm more than willing to help you because I was torturing this man and I didn't have the chance to fucking destroy his life.
Yeah. Yeah, this series is really all over the place. Like, the more we talk about it, the more it's like these episodes like kind of don't work together almost. Are you getting that vibe a little bit? Like, this how episode like feels like kind of like a shot in the dark. Like, it feels like it's like I feel like
right, they shot Gaia and they're like, oh shit, we only have 3 episodes left to like tell the whole story we want to tell. So let's just do like everything right now.
It's so stupid, dude. Like, her running that chat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, no, I can't put my finger on it really, but I really am enjoying Secret Invasion. But like I know my coworker, she started watching it. She watched the first 2 episodes, and like she's like the kind of person, and I don't mean this as like an analogy. Like, this is straight up true. If like there's a lot of blood in a show, she can't watch it.
Yeah, I know people like that.
And so like
my mom's like that.
She couldn't watch like Daredevil, like the Netflix show, like just because there's like blood in it and stuff.
Yeah, my mom says like, oh, it's too scary. That's what she says. Like,
yeah, I don't think she finds it scary. I think like I don't know, like if she gets queasy or something. I don't know, but like she had sent me like a thing on Instagram like where she was like cringing, and it was like me watching Secret Invasion. And I was like, oh, maybe she's like you. Maybe she just thinks it's like super cheesy and shit, you know, like spy tropey. And she was like, oh, it's like gory. And I was like, what the fuck? It's not gory.
A lot of people die every week getting shot.
Yeah. But I was actually surprised, like because like again like yeah, she said it's a little too gory / dark for my taste. So,
yeah.
but you know, like I get that. I get that from, you know, why some people think that way. But I thought I mean, like I said, I just enjoy it. I haven't watched a whole bunch of spy thrillers and shit, so like I don't really care about the tropes and stuff. But I can understand why some people would find it like boring or like just any like a retread of everything they've seen before or whatever. Like, you know, I understand all of that, right? And if you don't necessarily buy into the premise, the show's kind of not good. So
yeah.
But yeah, I've been enjoying it nevertheless, and I thought episode 4 was significantly better than the other episodes. I don't know why.
No,
Maybe it's like the Nick Fury and his wife thing that made me like it more. But it feels like everything's picking up. It's getting more intense. More things are actually starting to happen. I get things happened in the first episode, right? Like the Russia got bombed and Maria Hill died and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I like it, but
it's okay. Like, you know, for me, it's just okay. It's not blowing my mind like Andor, like in a way Andor did or anything like that. But I'm still willing to be impressed. So, you know, we'll see. The new episode's out tonight. I'm not going to watch it until next week, so it's fresh in my mind for the podcast.
yeah.
And, yeah, you know, I just... The action shooting scene was cool, like, you know, like all the shooting and the guns and, like, you know, the combat tactical military vibe thing going on, because I'm just a gamer and, like, you know, like stuff like that, and play Warhammer, so, like, you know, I just like military things, like, you know, I'm interested, like, you know, military enthusiast in a way, you know, and you just, I don't know, like, it just hasn't impressed me in any major way. I think is the most important thing I can say, though. Like,
Yeah.
you know, there's nothing that's absolutely blowing my mind. Like, I enjoy all the people here. Like, you know, I enjoy who's the guy who's playing Rhodey.
It's certainly not like Game of Thrones level mind blowing in any way.
Yeah.
Like
I
don't know if that's what they're going for, like the twist of like killing people at the end of every fucking episode. But it's never like what the fuck. Like it's just like, oh shit, all right. And the other thing, like the other thing they've really overdone is the Nick Fury is old.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we know he's old, but like
he's old as hell.
Like obviously that means he has to change things about how he does things, right? In a lot of ways, but you know, he's still like and smart. He still has his talents and his ways of spying and getting information and having one up on everybody else that he's in a room with and stuff. Like that's the more interesting part, not like the Nick Fury is old, but I think it's going to lead to like, well, now Nick Fury's lost everyone. So what does he do? You know, like that kind of, again, trope, like, oh, we killed Maria, we killed Talos, we divorced him from his wife or some shit. Now he's all alone, and now he's gonna rage out and murder a bunch of Skrulls. Like, right? It's again, it can be very tropey. It can be very something like played out. Like it's overly played out, and you know, a lot of people like now with how morally bankrupt Hollywood is and how unoriginal everything is, people want like something interesting, something new, instead of like repackaged dog shit, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Like even if you put some spy paint on it, like it's still like, you know, like same Marvel movies we've been watching for a long time.
Yeah.
Stakes are high, Earth's in trouble, alien invasion, blah blah blah, this and that. Only you can do it. This character is emotionally flawed though, so we need to have like part of the series being about his emotional flaws, and he can't be perfect, and like, you know, is this, and people have to doubt him, and this and that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all of that.
Yep.
All of that. So
all of that.
But yeah, we're almost to our hour mark, and I'm sure you're hungry. Wait, you ate ramen, but I'm sure you have other stuff to do.
Yeah.
So
always got more stuff to blow up on the internet for sure.
Yeah. So we'll wrap up here. We'll be back next week talking about more news probably, and Secret Invasion again. But we appreciate everybody who tunes in. Anybody who has followed on like Spotify or here on Twitch, you can follow, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to the podcast. You can follow, subscribe there, rate, review, do all that stuff. You can leave comments if you're watching on YouTube. You can, if you're here live with us, you can always type in the chat. We'll interact with you live. That's the benefit of being here while we're live. We can answer your questions like right now. But yeah, much love to everybody, and see you next time. And bye-bye.